Welcome, low ego action heroes. I'm Debbie Levitt from dcx, and welcome to our once a month stream, Practicing Critical Thinking. This is where during the month you have sent stuff into me from the dcx.to URL shortener dumps you on a real page. You can send stuff in and I will check it out and react to it. And we will be checking it for exciting things like, is it meaningful? Is it actionable? Is it helpful? And as always, hello, Itan. Itan's the biggest fan, I think, of the reaction stream. I might even be keeping it going for her. And of course, thanks as always to the people who've joined my Patreon at patreon.com/CXCC. You can join for free. And thanks to the people who are past, present, and future paid Patreons. It starts at $1 American a month, so it is certainly affordable. But we welcome people joining for the free version as well. Everybody gets discount codes to stuff I'm doing, like my upcoming courses and early access to articles and videos and stuff. So we've got a lot of things to look at today, so let's jump right in. Let me get my screen sharing ready. All right, here we go, and here we go. All right, so we've got my screen with everything queued up. Here's me, and over there is the chat room. So we should be able to capture comments from both YouTube and LinkedIn. So if you are watching live, emojis up, say hello. Let's see who's here today. And of course, it's, yeah, this is a long note. So someone was very kind to copy and paste an entire Reddit post to me because they know I don't like to go to Reddit. So it's not that this is a long note. They actually sent the entire Reddit post because they knew I avoid Reddit. So, so this is always audience participation. Tell me what you think as you hear me reading some or all of this. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Is it meaningful, actionable, helpful? So this was a post from Reddit, why I'm leaving UX design. And the question the person asked was about point number 6. So let's blow through this quickly. I have 11 years of experience. I'm a senior level UX designer at a FANG company. I worked at 2 FANGs most recently, smaller digital agencies. Hi, Melanie. And here's why I'm sick of being a UX designer. 1, constantly getting unsolicited, uninformed design feedback on work in progress Figma files from stakeholders and having to explain countless times the design process and the UX research testing we rely on to help guide UX decisions, despite having processes in place for more formal design reviews that'll be more informed and productive. More generally, the constant feeling that everyone thinks they can do my job better than I can. 2, leadership offering weak design solutions on the fly without really thinking about user goals and journeys. 3, having to constantly wear multiple hats, fulfilling aspects of roles, namely product management and program management, due to the natural overlap with these areas, but no clear demarcation between what I'm responsible for versus them. Role ambiguity to the max. 4, only about 10 to 20% of my time is spent actually designing. The rest is presenting decks and mocks for deck updates, facilitating alignment, evangelizing concepts and vision work, negotiating product scope and launch milestones, working on cross-team requests, bugs, the list goes on. A lot of the work is tedious and not fulfilling. 5, design leaders who are so incredibly out of touch and provide useless and counterproductive feedback. 6, lack of career upward mobility and the pressure to be more visible and above and beyond with my work so that I can build a case for promotion and essentially fight for it on my own while already having roles and responsibilities that take 50 to 60 hours a week to fulfill. 7, engineering, constantly saying design is blocking, but once they get the design specs, they take their sweet time and overscope features, saying they take X% more time to build than they actually do. 8, product managers who don't know how to lead teams, communicate effectively, and have an ego the size of a bus, not to mention massive control issues. So yeah, I'm done, LOL. Moving on and out of the role and the tech industry, super done. And the question that came in was, is there really no chance for upward mobility in UX nowadays? Well, I don't know about y'all, but my initial thought to the person who wrote this was, you read all that and your biggest concern is that we don't have enough upward mobility? Really? So I think what a lot of this person is saying is true. I find them to be believable. Now, it's not particularly actionable. I mean, you can try to avoid FANG companies, but what they're describing happens in a lot of places. But I think it's interesting that a lot of people think that working in a FANG company is like the ultimate dream, but yet here it sure is being described as a bit of an ultimate nightmare. To answer the question that came in, is there really no chance for upward mobility in UX nowadays? No, I don't think there's no chance, but I believe you do have to stay at a company sometimes for a few years to get promoted upward. And very often we don't stay there that long, or we get laid off, or the job doesn't exist anymore, or someone makes sure that we're not in it anymore. We get moved around. And then if we're moved from one team to another, sometimes people feel like, well, you haven't been here that long. Why would we promote you? So I don't think there's so much that there isn't upward mobility. Upward mobility does exist, but it can be hard to get because who wants to up level you up to a manager when you haven't been a manager? I-10 says, honestly, if you hate any job this much, you should probably move on. Totally agree. I think if you hate a job a third of this much, you might want to move on. I-10 also says, upward mobility mostly depends on who steps up and there's an opportunity. Yeah, it really depends. Companies treat this stuff differently. I was just at Arizona State University and I thought they promoted people too early. And then a lot of corporate companies promote too late. So, and then I've usually been a contractor. I don't get promotions because I'm just a contractor. I'm not a full-time employee, so I've never really worked my way up traditionally through a thing. So a lot of contractors miss out on promotions. But yeah, there you go. So that's that one. Let's cross it out and say that we've talked about it and move on. This is a job. And let's see what the comment was on this TransferGo job, because some of these came in with comments. What does ability to pitch and advocate for research methods and their importance mean? How does one do this successfully and prove they can do it? All right, let's take a look. Senior UX researcher, London, hybrid, fintech scale up. Collaborate with stakeholders to present research findings and secure buy-in, talk strategy in a clear, actionable way, advocate for the importance of research, demonstrating the value of structured research methods to the business. So this is something we've talked about before on this channel, which is when you are coming into a job where the job description says you're going to have to advocate for what you do or evangelize for what you do, chances are that take that at face value. Chances are the people around you don't get the importance of research. You're going to have to try to talk them into the importance of research. Chances are whoever your manager was hasn't been able to convince them of the importance of research. You're going to have to try. I usually see this as a red flag. I'm concerned about any job that says you're going to have to sell other people on why you are there. So here when it says you're going to have to pitch and advocate for research methods and their importance, I hope you eventually get to pick that method and you're not bullied into using the wrong method. But the ability to pitch and the advocating for the importance, no matter what else this job says, the vibe I get from it is that you are coming into a place that doesn't really know why you're there. Someone got this job opened. Someone possibly needs things you're going to do. But it's really interesting in that in the you will section, where's the research? This is a senior UX researcher. Where is planning the research, doing the research, analyzing the research? I see collaborating to present findings. I see crafting a narrative and storytelling to communicate your findings. I see give people actionable advice based on insights and findings. I see being familiar with methods. It's not clear exactly what you're doing here. Yeah, I-10 says on one hand, I don't want to convince anyone on the importance of my job. On the other hand, if I did, it would be a nice thing to talk about in the upcoming interviews. Yes, I agree. It's good that this job is being honest up front, that you are coming into a job that mostly doesn't understand who you are, what you do, why you're there, and does your work have any value? So you can't go into this job and then later on go, I can't believe I had to explain myself all the time, like that Fang person was just saying. I can't believe I have to explain myself. I can't believe I have to keep explaining what I do and why I do it and its importance. And this job is saying up front, you're going to have to do that. And that's up to you. If you want to take that job and you're comfortable in that environment and you don't mind gently explaining these things and standing up for it, then great. If you don't want to do that, don't know how to do that, feel done with that, then maybe don't do that. So that's how I see that job. Thank you to the person who sent that in. These all come in anonymously, so I don't know who sent them, and I usually can't guess. This one says, designer's maturity model. Does it also correlate to the seniority of designers? Do designers have to build an AI chapter? Ooh, this is already sounding not so good. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, this is from last month. This is a relatively recent article, and it says designer's maturity model. It's written by someone I'm not familiar with, and it says, I guess this is the maturity model for an individual designer. This article explores the concept of maturity in UX design, extending an existing model to add AI. Okay, so this sounds like it's an existing model. At least they credit the original person, and they're just throwing AI on top of this. So let's see. A creator focuses on interaction design and craft. An architect focuses on UX strategy, understanding the nuances of AI, and suggesting creative solutions. Collaborators remove organizational silos, drive people to build the AI chapter. Curators drive design culture across organization, stakeholders, management, and visionary. So this sounds like, and I'm not familiar with the original model, but I feel like if I Googled it, it would look just like this without the word AI. Right? Let's see. Dennis, designer, growth model. The designer's growth model. Producers, architects, connectors, scientists, visionaries. Okay, so it's not an acute triangle. It's in this kind of graph format. And this other person has renamed it. I'm not sure why I'm not sure why you'd be a curator at this high level, driving design culture across an organization. That doesn't sound like an act of curation. And also, I don't understand the building the AI chapter, and that's what the person who wrote in asked. So let's see, where does the word chapter appear in the original article? It doesn't. So what is an AI chapter? I don't know. I could read this to see if they explain it. Chapter? No, the word chapter doesn't agree in this article. Am I only seeing part of the article? Nope, that's really it. That's it? Really? And the author presents a comprehensive framework? Where this can't be the comprehensive framework. Is going to their No, that's the original article. Okay, so I really don't get it. It looks like someone just took someone else's thing, made a mildly derivative version, renamed some stuff, threw the word AI on it, and tried to kind of make it their own. And UX Magazine fell for it, as they often do. I really find I don't like a lot of their articles. I don't see a comprehensive framework here. So this is a definite no from me. Done. All right. Akash Gupta. If product market fit means that you found the right kind of product the market wants. Position market fit means you found the right combination of product, brand, marketing, pricing, go to market sales in a given domain. I don't understand. All right, let's take a look. So this is from 3 weeks ago. Akash is someone who I'm not sure I've ever agreed with, and I do tend to feel like he is someone grasping at stuff to just try to get you to subscribe to his Substack or pay him for content. So I see him as a kind of financially driven content creator who puts out a lot of quantity, but I rarely find quality in what he says. So I just want to say that up front that I'm not a fan. I've had a nice conversation with him, and that's about all I can say. So, product market fit is not enough anymore. You need position market fit. So, newsflash, Akash did not invent marketing. The 4 Ps, including positioning, have been around for decades. And positioning implies that when you are marketing a particular product or service, you have its positioning, very often kind of a cousin of the value proposition, in the right place. So, this person is saying, um, if the market wanted it, we could say they product market fit. If not, it's back to the lab. And so they're saying position market fit means you found the right combination of all this. I think this is made up. I have never heard of this before in my entire career. Of course, I've heard of position and positioning. It was in my MBA. I knew about it before my MBA. They didn't invent this, but they're saying position market fit is important. It operates at a more personal and subconscious level. Our brains can only conceptualize a finite set of characters per domain. I don't know if humans are writing this or if an LLM is writing this, but I don't get it. I don't find it to be meaningful, actionable, or helpful. And now they're throwing in Dunbar number and startup success. To me, it really feels like buzzword soup. And I just don't get anything out of this person. And then I find that I usually disagree with what he says. I10 says, I don't understand anything. Is it me? No, I don't get it either. Here they're saying product market fit is the old playbook. People's heads are overstuffed with competing products, messaging, and narratives. It's hard for a product to get a market edge. Okay, but there's a difference between product market fit and a market edge. These aren't the same things. And I can't tell if there's a false equivalence here, equivalency or what's going on here, other than just continued clickbait from Akash. That's it. For example, are you building software in a market dominated by feature bloated software? Position your product as high craft. Look, these are standard marketing techniques and approaches that have been around for literally decades, decades and decades. I think the 4 Ps goes back to the 50s or 60s. But that's got nothing to do with product market fit, or very little, because if you don't have a good product to fit your market, all the positioning in the world might not help you. So it's easy for him to point at some of these larger or more well-known companies. This is just very strange. And so to me, it doesn't pass meaningful. It doesn't pass actionable. It doesn't pass helpful. I would just say sail on by. You don't have to respond to Akash. You're just bringing more people to his stuff. This one was interesting. I hadn't seen this. Someone said, can one person actually claim they launched design thinking globally? Good question, right? So this is Brian Sullivan, who I am connected to, though I have nearly no interaction with, so my opinion of him is fairly neutral. And about 2 weeks ago, he said he's updating a chapter for the second edition of his book. I didn't know he wrote a book. It's an interesting perience. I don't know that word. Very surreal. I'm in a much different place. Here's a few things that have happened. Moved into a manager director role, launched design thinking globally. Okay, so what I'm guessing is that this person launched design thinking for the company they were in. They might have been in a position of leadership where they could say, look, we're all going to do design thinking. And I think Brian was a proponent of design thinking, which of course separated us, and why I have almost nothing to do with him. I don't even think I follow. I think I'm connected to him, but I don't follow him. So my guess is that he is. It's not clear here. So good luck with that second edition of the book. But I think he probably means that he launched design thinking globally in his organization, and for some reason he's proud of that. When personally, I'm horrified. So I think that's what that means, thanks to the person who sent it in. And remember, you can always just ask Brian this yourself. Next. Hello. This is not a super scandalous post, but what do you think about it? It seems so simple to do these, at least in my eyes, but I haven't seen any company doing it. All right, let's take a look. This is Mansoor, who I'm not connected to. This was about 2 weeks ago, and it says, off topic. Since my feed is filled with layoffs news, here's my personal take on what can be done to reduce cost and layoffs. 1. Give permanent work from home for software engineers. We don't need lavish offices. What we need is challenging work, handsome pay, peace of mind, good equipment, clear career progression path, supportive management, safe working environment, access to best learning practices. 2, if you really have to cut cost, then cut X% across the board for all employees. I think the implication there is don't mostly cut your engineers. 3, don't overhire ever. That implies that Mansoor believes overhiring was actually a thing when we know now that it was mostly a lie to hide some other things companies were doing. 4, if a unit in your firm is not making profit and you don't see it to make profit in the next few years, shut it down. Move the people from that unit to other core units of the firm, unless you have a long-term plan for strategy or innovation that requires those people to keep working, even if this won't be profitable until later. So I would have to say number 4 is a maybe, depending upon a longer-term strategy. Number 5, don't fire people. Fire poor projects, poor products, and there's a comma there, which makes me think he forgot to finish writing his post. And this went viral. He's got thousands of reactions, hundreds of comments. So what was the question again? Seems so simple, but I haven't seen any company doing it. Well, are we sure we haven't seen any company doing it? I don't think any company's overhired. I think that was a lie. Are they cutting X% across the board for all employees? I think they are cutting. Most companies are cutting across employees. We're seeing layoffs, not just engineers, but typically engineers, product managers, UX researchers and designers, sometimes marketers, very often in-house recruiters. So I think many companies are cutting from multiple areas when they are cutting. Permanent work from home for engineers, I'm not sure why this person's an engineer, so they're focused on engineers, but I would say that can work for everybody. And don't fire people is difficult advice to give, because what do you do if you have a poor employee? You can try to coach them, you can try to move them to other teams or projects, but what if they're just not really working out? They might need to be fired. But it makes me wonder why he wrote that, because it sounds like first he starts talking about layoffs, and then he ends up with firing. And those are two very different things, because layoffs are supposed to be, we don't need anyone doing your job at all. This job isn't needed here, so we don't need you. Whereas firing is usually for cause. There's a reason why you're getting fired. You've done something bad or wrong, and you have to go, and we're going to replace you because we still need your job. Yeah, I-10 says fire people who don't do their jobs properly. So I think that when we dig into this post with some critical thinking, there's some things here that don't totally make sense. But of course, and I-10 pressed like on this post. Here she is. Look at you, I-10. Did you know you pressed like on this post? So I think that while it's easy to press like on this post, there's some things here that for me don't totally add up. It's me. Yep. So, lovely as always. Ha 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 ha. Yep. Oops. So I can see why people would. I don't even remember. Um, yes, it's the stage hypnotist act that I'm working on. So I think that this looks like something we'd want to press like on. There's a couple of things here that don't totally add up, but I don't think it's a terrible post. But who's he talking to, and what's really gonna happen here? So, good luck. All right. Let's cross this one off. Okay, next, framing a study, which appears to be a Medium article, and there was no comment on it, so we'll just cross it off the list, and we'll take a look at the article. I didn't look at almost any of these things up front. I did say you'd advertise my LinkedIn account for free. Everyone go connect with iTon. So this is from Indy Young, and it's from 4 years ago. And it sounds like it's some sort of republish or reframing of something that she put out in a newsletter in 2016. At least that's what I guess I'm already lost. Is this quote from her newsletter, or is this article a revisit of a newsletter? I'm not sure. So that should probably be clearer. Use a person's purpose to frame problem space studies. Okay, so I'm already a little bit lost there. What is a person's purpose? Do you mean like their reason for existing, like my personal purpose? Anyway, I've been teaching an advanced course on framing your study once a year. It's course number 6. Well, okay, so at least she's honest, and right up front, we hear that this is really probably mostly a promotion for her course. This was 4 years ago. I don't know if it's a course she still gives, but it's sometimes my articles link to my courses. I get it, but that was pretty upfront. I just returned from the Convey UX conference in Seattle. I gave a presentation and offered a Q&A. I got a few questions about how to set up a study in the problem space. Coming from careers in the solution space, doing generative or evaluative studies, it was hard for people to reorient to framing a problem space study. I use a person's purpose to frame problem space studies. Okay, so she said this twice, and I'm still not sure what a person's purpose is. So I think my first question is, will we get a definition of that? How do I scope a study for a client who makes time tracking software for employees who must clock in and out of work? Time tracking software is a solution in the solution space. Clock in and clock out is an action required of employees at a location. It's a goal in the solution space. If you switch to the problem space, what's the purpose? To make sure I get paid for my time, or make sure I only pay employees for their time, track patterns of who shows up. Okay, so this to me sounds like a cousin of maybe jobs to be done, to be able to say like, well, what's really going on here? We see what the solution is, and we see why we have the solution in place, or why that solution could work for some people. But why do we need the solution? But my problem is, it sounds like as part of this example, she's kind of reverse engineering that. She's saying, oh, well, now that we know this solution and its goal, we can see what the purpose is. So then how do we get there without that, or are we still going to create the purpose from the solution? This is what I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to skim her article, and I'm trying to look for anything that helps me take action on this. How can I walk away from this and go, wow, thanks to Indy Young, I really know how to frame a research project that will help me better understand a problem space, whether or not the solution exists or is the right solution. We have another link to her online course. I'm having trouble finding, this is how this works. These are the steps, do this thing. And again, I don't fault anybody for promoting their courses or Substack or paid coaching or whatever. Everybody's got to make money somehow. I'm on that list too. But something's not right here. Here are opening questions for employees. What went through your mind as you were getting ready to work each of the past several work days? What? No, I don't think that would match the types of techniques that I use or teach, or that Larry Marine uses or teaches. It seems weird to ask people what went through their mind over multiple days, some days ago. Yeah, I don't think this is meaningful, actionable, or helpful. So I'm just gonna have to go with a no thanks on this one. I says just do a diary study. Well, again, the diary study doesn't necessarily answer the original question, which is how do you frame a study to investigate the problem space? And in my opinion, that is best answered with Larry's disruptive research book. These are the techniques of observing and speaking to users so that you can truly understand their problems, unmet needs, perspectives, habits, and things like that. I'm not really seeing that here, but again, maybe it's a bit of a teaser so that you'll sign up for the course. Maybe the course would tell you more. I don't know. Hi, Axel. Do a field study. Yeah, I certainly agree. A field study or something that's more observational will certainly tell us a lot more about about the problem space versus asking them, what do you think about every morning before you go to work? It's a question we can ask, but it's certainly not the only thing we should be asking or looking at. So I have to admit, this article is not speaking to me. Maybe in my quick skimming of it, I missed something awesome, but I'm just not seeing it. Melanie says, in this case, it seems like the question being asked is a solution in search of a problem. Yeah, right. Agreed. Let's move on. Okay, product design career ladders. And the comment I got says, what do we think about this? BuzzFeed especially has quite extensive criteria for each product design role. I wonder if this was sent in by the person who was worried about upward mobility, because this was a public Excel style Google sheet about the different levels of design jobs at different companies and what they call those levels. And you can see, for example, at Meta, at the IC level, which is individual contributor, that usually means worker bee, not a manager or leader. At the IC level, you've got, is that 7? 8? Yeah, Amy says I usually have to read Indy's things twice. Yeah, I didn't feel like I even wanted to. So it looks like Meta has 8 levels of product designer before they will make you a manager. This can certainly make it feel for some people, and maybe we saw it from the Reddit thing that we started with today. It can make people feel like manager and leadership roles are very far away because there are so many levels to go through at companies, and sometimes you don't get a promotion for 1 or 2 years or even more. So Axel's listing a whole bunch of things you could do. Contextual inquiry from before the know the problem, goals, needs, recruiter, schedule, protocol, research, explain, analysis. Yep, Axel's listing all the things. So and don't forget incentives, very true. At Figma, you've got 6 levels before some sort of managerial level. So again, this can make people feel very far away from true upward mobility and from the manager or leadership level they might want. So let's go back to the original question. BuzzFeed has quite extensive criteria for each role. Let's take a look. Here's BuzzFeed. Okay, so BuzzFeed has 5 levels. That's a little bit more typical. In the old days, it used to be like maybe intern, junior, mid-level, senior, lead. Some companies put principal over lead. So in the old days, we saw 3 to 6 levels. So if a company has, you know, and again, we're not associate is probably not intern. So maybe we've got 4: associate or junior, mid-level, senior, lead, maybe principal above that. So I would expect to see 3 to 5. BuzzFeed has 5. And down here are some of the criteria that they probably are looking for you to be leveling up in for you to get those promotions: visual design, UX design, patterns, product thinking, process, toolkit, transparency, data, fluency, communication, mentorship, and culture. But without knowing more about that, I can't say, oh, based on BuzzFeed's criteria, this mid-level person sure looks ready to be a senior. It's hard to know just from seeing this list. How do any of these come to life? How are they assessed? So it looks like a long list, but it might not be. Toolkit might be, are you good at Figma? So I don't think that we want to fall for these lists because we don't know how these things are assessed or judged, or if they are. We don't even know if every time you get a review, if someone is looking at how was your systems thinking, how was your breath. And we don't mean the smell of your breath. How is your breath? So I think that it's easy to look at this and think like, whoa, oh my gosh, the criteria for moving up must be so strict. We have no idea. How does Amazon measure your empathy and humility? Oh, I forgot, everybody. Let's try it again. Empathy and humility. And great that they've got 5 levels and then you can get into manager. Looks better than Meta. Looks like it has more opportunity to get into manager, but I don't know how any of these criteria come to life. So don't get too hung up on a sheet like this because we have no idea how any of this is interpreted. The end. All right, crossing that one off the list. Next. UX lessons from Winnie the Pooh. I'm sorry, but I couldn't not send this. Okay, person who wanted us to have a weird moment. So, this is a Medium article from someone I don't know. The article is quite recent. It's from earlier this month, and it says surprising insights for product development and design thinking. Boo! With the heart and wisdom of Pooh. Um, uh, I hope Disney doesn't sue you. These clearly look like AI generated images, and it says they are AI generated images. So UX lesson number 1, the value of nothing. Winnie the Pooh says doing nothing often leads to the very best kind of something. Now, my gut reaction to that, in addition to, oh my God, this is obviously weird ass clickbait, is I can't think of any job where they're going to be okay with me doing nothing. So they're going to say, let's see, don't get trapped in hustle culture and never ending cycles of launches. There's a lot of links here. What are they linking to? Endless links here. Remember, every time you put a link, you distract people from whatever you're talking about because I'm noticing there's a link and I might want to leave your article and go read that thing. So, keep your links to a minimum, friends. Well, unless they're all your articles and you're trying to create more backlinks and it's an SEO move. Yes, you need to get the new feature shipped, but some of the best ideas come back when we step back and take a breather. It's either cookies or links. Yeah, you still can't do nothing. Even if you're hoping to come up with good ideas, you're probably not doing nothing. That's the internet for you. I hit a creative block. Frustration was boiling over. I went for a hike. The serene environment and doing nothing allowed my mind to wander freely. Yeah, we didn't need that from Pooh. We have that information from other people. Again, I think what this guy is probably doing is taking things he wanted to say anyway and reverse engineering it. I also wonder if we ask ChatGPT how they like. I don't use ChatGPT. I use a free version of Claude. Name 5 ways Winnie the Pooh could relate to doing UX design. Simplicity, empathy, problem solving, collaboration, and user centric thinking. So let's go back. So far, we have doing nothing. People say nothing is impossible, but I do nothing every day. That's a joke. That's a play on words. Yeah, it's wow, look at all these backlinks. I think someone must have paid this guy to just make a lot of backlinks, since that's going to be good for someone's SEO. I think this article is just how to make the most backlinks possible and pretend there's some value here. I'm gonna stop. I don't think this is meaningful, actionable, or helpful. I maybe someone will find it cute, but it's definitely not for me. To hell with the business case again. Okay, no comment here, so let's just take a look at it. That's over here. Buttondown.email. I don't know who that is. I don't know who Matt May is. This is from a couple of weeks ago, and it says, to hell with the business case again. I told you so. One of my first posts to this newsletter was to hell with the business case. Okay, so this person is quoting their own previous article. I've had a lot of positions on a lot of issues over my career, but there's one that I've been consistent on from the beginning. You do not sell product inclusion and equity, including accessibility, on business cases. Don't do it. Doing it because it is the right thing is not the same as doing it because it makes more money. So here's a question. Why does it, if I'm understanding this article correctly, why does it have to be one or the other? If we're talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, why can't that be presented as the right thing to do, the empathetic thing to do, the moral thing to do, the ethical thing to do, and something that might make the business more money because we are creating a product or service for a broader audience because we were inclusive. I feel like, maybe I'm misreading this, but I feel like this article is trying to say, don't make these things part of a business case because they're just the right thing to do. And they are the right thing to do, but you might still have to sometimes we have to make a business case for something that's the right thing to do. Sometimes we have to make the business case for something that's ethical versus something that's a gray area or unethical. So what's his point? The moment you frame, so he's quoting his own article again. I maybe felt not enough people read it. The moment you frame the case for any kind of inclusion or equity around the money an organization stands to gain or save, you've already lost. What you've done is turn a moral case where you have the high ground into an economic one where unless you have an MBA in your pocket, you're out of your depth. If you win a business case argument, the users you wanted to benefit are no longer your North Star, it's money. Okay, look, I get it. We wish, I think everyone watching this channel wishes that we could make things happen at the companies we work at by giving people stars and rainbows and saying, look, here's the right thing to do. Here's the ethical thing to do. You should care about diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility because it's the right thing to do. It shouldn't even be an option. It shouldn't be a feature we upvote. It shouldn't be something in the backlog for later. It's just the right thing to do. Now, if that worked, there's a lot of conversations we wouldn't have. We wouldn't need necessarily someone to work in a DEI position to try to shepherd this and make it happen and see it through and explain the importance. If this were something that naturally made sense to people and naturally seemed like the ethical and moral thing to do, then you don't have to tell people that this will also make them money. The ethical and moral implications would be enough to convince them, or they wouldn't need convincing because they have such high ethical and moral standards. Because we have such incredibly low ethical and moral standards, people don't care about diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. They have to be convinced that it's worth our time. They have to be convinced that it's worth money. So my point, I think what I would say here is, if your company has leadership and values and strategies where DEI and accessibility are baked in, you're right. You don't have to make a business case for these things. They're baked in, and your company is naturally taking the good actions, the right actions, because you are led by the North Star of naturally wanting to do the good and right things here. If your company is not led by any such star, and your company does not do anything without seeing a business case or without seeing where it turns into money, then guess what? You might have to get more buy-in for diversity, equity, inclusion, or accessibility by speaking the business's language and talking about a business case. And if that means you lost, then I'm sorry, we're seeing this as win or lose. Right now I feel like it's all lose. So Pepe, hi, good to see you, says, idea for a metric. How often people bookmark your article? I wouldn't bookmark this one. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, I think that this person is right if this person would be more right if what they were saying weren't necessary. It would be great if every company naturally cared about these things and we didn't have to tell them this. It would be great if every company donated money to charities and organizations that promoted diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility and didn't give to political candidates that want to undo those things. But we live in a society. So if you have to make these things into a business case, in addition to their ethical, moral, empathy, and other implications, then I say do it. Get that buy-in however you want. There are times I've had to say to companies, hey, do you want to get sued this year or next year? Because that's the road you're headed down. If you don't care about the risk of getting sued, go ahead. All right, we've got a Reddit. Boo to the person sending me to Reddit. How would one handle these questions effectively and impress the hiring team? So I usually don't answer questions about how to do well in an interview because what I might say in an interview or what I want to hear in an interview could be different than other people. So I might not be able to give you the one right answer here. But let's take a look at what these questions are. This says, rejected after first round interview with Meta. Nope, not logging into Reddit. Rejected after first round interview with Meta, requesting feedback on interview answers. So first of all, congratulations on being rejected from Meta. Talk about a company who probably needs to hear about a business case rather than just naturally doing the right thing. So I'm good for you that you are not going to work at Meta. So this is a researcher, and they said, I had a round one interview for a qual UXR position with Meta. It was a 45-minute video interview. The host and I stayed on for about 10 minutes. We had additional questions for each other. For the question prompt, I had to choose a favorite non-Meta app. I chose Discord. The prompt was roughly the following. You have 6 weeks for this project. Discord has developed 2 design concepts they want tested. They're early in a wireframe state. What would you do? The team is 3 researchers, including yourself. I took 2 minutes to write down my plan and then expanded it. Week 0, there's no such thing as week 0. There's only week 1. So thing 1, forget about sprint 0, forget about week 0. The first week is week number 1. Week 1. So week 0, project plan, schedule creation and approval, research method selection, team composition. I would agree, unless I first do something like a knowledge quadrant, episode 196, then I like to do that before my plan. But maybe it's part of this first week. Week 1, discussion guide creation, recruitment through either in-house recruiter agency. Okay, I think that's not that is not what I teach. Funny enough, I have a course coming up, plug. I have a new course coming up called Planning Qualitative Research, Generative and Evaluative. You can find it, a link to it at dcx.to. I got discount codes for all y'all, so if you're curious about the course, just reach out to me and I'll get you a discount code for it. You're welcome to pay full price, but reach out and I'll get you a discount code. You don't have to give me a sad story or anything. Just tell me, hey, can I get a discount code for one of your courses? Look at all the courses, pick one, pick two, pick three, pick five. So what's wrong with this? The discussion guide is part of the plan. I'm a little nervous that this person got approval of their plan without the discussion guide having been created, because sometimes I don't know how long I want to meet people until I know what's in my discussion guide. How many questions do we have? How many tasks do we have? So seems a little out of order to me. I would probably be doing the discussion guide in the first week so that I can make sure that the schedule and recruitment follow accordingly. Recruitment through in-house recruiter or agency, okay. Weeks 2 and 3, research sessions and documentation as sessions happen. Okay, so they didn't say how many people they would meet, so it's hard to know why they need 2 weeks of 3 people doing research. If you can do 12 a day with 3 people, unless you're doing 4 a day and everybody's a note taker. But let's imagine let's say you do 6 a day and you always have a note taker. 3 and 3 with note takers, 6 a day times 10 days, that's 60. Are you really doing 60 for evaluating 2 design concepts? I think I think 6 weeks is too long for a concept test of a wireframe. I would have checked, is this a prototype? Can I give people tasks in a prototype, or is it really just a wireframe? I would probably do this in a much shorter amount of time, but 6 weeks is great. I'm happy to see a company give people more time than they need rather than less. So 2 weeks of research sessions seems long. Weeks 4 and 5, analysis and synthesis. Begin deliverable creation. 6, finalize deliverables. I was asked my research method. First, discussion with test subject on what their expectations and needs are for whatever the design concept's attempting to address. Why don't we know that already? User interacts with wireframe, provides feedback, discuss reaction and thoughts. Each concept would be tested with 8 to 10. So they thought they were going to need 2 weeks for 16 to 20. That seems long. Let's see what people claim. What questions did you ask to understand the prompt better? Yeah, that is good. Why 6 weeks for something that most teams expect done in a week or two? I'm curious about why they gave this person so much time. I wonder if they gave them so much time to see if they would just use it, even though you can probably do something like that much faster, especially if you're recruiting from an existing customer base or panel. Let's see. They're probably looking for rapid iterative testing. So showing them you can produce insights faster versus, yeah, I also wouldn't write a long report on this. That's a great point. I didn't think of that, but now, yes. Yeah, here we go. Timeline. 6 weeks seems too long for a round of evaluative. Totally agree. Very often at the jobs I've been at, if we have the people readily available to us from a panel service, from our own panel, from our customer base, these are things that I've planned, run, and analyzed within a week. So the 6 weeks, I wonder if it is a trick. A generative study, I'd love to get 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks for, but a concept evaluative, yeah, I'm thinking that could be what happened here. All right, we have 2 more left and a little bit of time together. The gong may go off, but we'll stick around a little bit more. Researchers, let's talk about impact. Is that this one? No. No, that's this one. Okay, this is a Medium article from a few weeks ago. How do you tell your impact story? How to talk about impact. Your impact is not deliverables. It's not your recommendations. Your impact is not that the team did the thing they were going to do anyway. That's not impact. What is the impact? The last one gets close, but it's not talking about how the work you did impacted the company. Okay, so then this isn't impact in a research report or a research presentation. This sounds like it's the impact for your portfolio or case study, or talking about it in an interview. In that case, if I'm understanding this correctly, that would make sense. The ultimate impact of the study is not, I found out things, or I delivered insights, or I made some suggestions. The impact is usually, what happened after that? Did the company or team take your advice? Did something change? Was time saved? Did something go well? What does it mean to the company that your presentation was shared with senior level leadership? Yeah, just because your presentation was shared up the ladder doesn't mean there was impact. Those people might have thrown it in the garbage. So but she's saying maybe you helped boost the visibility of the research function, leading to an increased frequency of research requests. To me, you can only write that or say that if it's true. Say that with me again. You can only say these impact things in your portfolio, in your case study, in your interview, if they are gong, if they are true. Please do not say untrue things or things you just don't know. If you don't think that it improved the visibility of the research function, don't say that. If sharing this up to senior leadership didn't lead to more people asking for research, don't say that. I got a message yesterday from someone in our community, yesterday or the day before, saying, "Ooh, I tried your knowledge quadrant, and now our teams are proactively asking for knowledge quadrant and research." That person can say, we have more people interested in, excited in, thinking about research because we brought them a technique that made them want to get their questions answered. Yeah, Amy says, I love how the gong went off to highlight that point. Yeah, the gong is set to go off at 55 minutes and 59 seconds, so I didn't touch it. Before I start the show, I set at what time I want it to go off, and then I don't set it off manually, so it's always funny when it shows up. What does it mean to the company that your research produced journey maps? Nothing if nobody uses the journey maps. If they get put in the circular file, if they get hung up but nobody gives a shit, then there wasn't impact. So remember, the impact can't be, I delivered a thing and people got the thing. Senior leadership got a research report. Someone got a journey map. That's not impact. The impact is what happened because of that. Did something change? Was there a different or good outcome because of all of this? So I think this person makes a good point, but I want them to say that this has to be true because you change the velocity of the team by unblocking their decision making, only if you know that for a fact. I have unblocked teams' decision making, but I'm not sure if I changed their velocity. I only know that I freed up a ticket that was on hold waiting for my research reports. That doesn't mean that I changed their velocity. It just means that I unblocked the team. And that's impact on its own. Impact on its own is I unblocked the business analyst or the agile team or whoever by getting the unanswered questions answered. But I'm not sure you can claim you changed velocity, so be careful about that. Because remember, there's follow-up questions exist. Someone might say, really, how did you change the velocity? What was the old velocity? And then what was the new velocity? Cricket, cricket. So remember, say it with me, you can only say these things if you know they are true. And you can tell the story in a portfolio, in a case study, or in an interview. I've unblocked teams with my work, but I can't claim I changed their velocity. Be careful. And finally, today, apple and banana, 5 mistakes to avoid when you run UX research. Let's have a look. Oh, it's Friday. Have a great weekend, everybody. We still have this last one. Mistake number 1 being too attached to methods. You might think you conduct user interviews for every research question because you're good at them and you like it, but not every research question is best studied using the same method. Okay, maybe. Not sure that's my number 1, but okay. Not sticking up for the user. Hold on, what are we talking about again? Running UX research. Running UX research. So this implies that you are involved in discussions where the user needs to be included or defended. Many UX researchers are not involved in those conversations. Sometimes a designer is brought in, not necessarily the researcher. So I'll just say, if you are involved in those conversations, yes, make sure you are representing the user given the evidence you've collected as the researcher. If you are not in those conversations, try to be, but this isn't your fault. Number 3, making unfeasible or actionable recommendations. Change the blue call to action to red so that users can find it faster. So this, I don't see a date on this, but it looks like a remix of one of my articles. Is anybody else having a bit of a deja vu here? I don't see a date on it. Human relationship with stakeholders. Not thinking about analysis before the study starts? I don't usually think about analysis before the study starts. Yeah, that's weird. Makes me want to do this. Just in case. Okay, so it doesn't look like it came from Claude. That's good. But I'm not sure that I agree with this, and I'm not sure that this is going to be completely actionable for most people reading it. And there's a few things I feel like I recognize from one of my articles. But all right, let's wrap up. We've had a long day together. Hello. Thanks for joining the Practicing Critical Thinking stream. We do this the last Friday of every month. It's the only stream I'm still doing on the Delta CX channel. Everything else is on the new CX-CC YouTube channel, so I hope you will subscribe there. I don't think I have an overlay for that one anymore, but there's a link over on the dcx.to landing page. And again, reminder about my upcoming courses. I'm writing them now, so they are super fresh. All new topics, all new stuff, public speaking, product market fit, qual research. These are new things and things you've all asked me for. So I'm writing, I think I have 2 signups for each right now. Right now, very small cohorts, but you asked for them, so I'm writing them. And again, reach out if you would like a discount code. There's discount codes for all of you. Let's take a look. Monday, we're going to talk about the size of UX organizations. Tuesday is Q&A, Ask Me Anything. And yeah, that looks like mostly that. And then, of course, coming up in a half hour, we have our support group call. So if you're curious about the support group, there's a link from dcx.to. This is for people working in UX right now who need a little extra support. It is currently, I'm not charging for it as of when I'm speaking to you on July 26, 2024. I do plan to charge for it eventually, but I want to make sure it's really delivering value, so it's still in an experimental and no charge phase. All right, I'm going to flame us out of here and get ready for the support group call. And I hope everybody has a super weekend. Thanks for sending stuff in and for joining me live and chipping in and shouting things out. And I hope to see you all Monday for our webinar about how CX should be a large organization in companies, and we should stop saying it shouldn't be. Thanks again. Bye.